Step 2 of quantum leaping is decision. Not overthinking, not asking your spirit guides for one more sign. It is deciding to be the version of you that lives on that timeline. In my last video, we talked about step 1 of quantum leaping, which was desire. And now this is step 2, and we are talking about decision. Hi, I'm Melissa, and I'm here to remind you of the powerful spiritual being you are. You have all sorts of spiritual gifts, manifestation powers. I remind you of who you truly are so you can exist on the timeline you want to. Remember, this timeline is optional. So decision. Decision is extremely important in quantum leaping. You are deciding that you are going to exist in the reality that you prefer. You're not waiting to feel worthy. You're not waiting to feel more ready. You're not waiting for someone to give you another sign that what you desire is right for you. That's why we talked about step 1 being desire is literally echoes of other versions of you calling you towards it. When you have a strong desire for something, it's a parallel universe version of you telling current you this is a possibility for you. Decide to live in this reality. Decide to have this in your life. Decide to be this identity. If you missed that video, I will link it below. Decision is really about putting on the identity of the version of you that lives on that timeline. In order to quantum leap, what do we need to do? We need to raise our vibrational frequency to match the vibration of the version of us living on that timeline. We need to start behaving like that version of us. We need to have the identity of that version of us. We need to change our thoughts and beliefs to match the version of us that lives on that timeline. The version of the timeline that you most desire, if you're not currently living on it, you are not at the same vibrational frequency and you don't have the same thoughts and beliefs as that version. How do I know? Because if you were vibrating at the same frequency and you have the same beliefs as them, you would be living in that reality. Quantum leaping is really about raising our frequency to match the vibrational frequency of that version of us and also believing the same things about reality and about ourselves. Because beliefs create reality. What you believe to be true about reality and yourself is what is reflected back out to you in this life. In step 2 of quantum leaping, you have to decide it before you see it. Reality has a lag time. So when we are quantum leaping, even if we've actually made it past the other steps and we're on a new timeline, reality is not going to reflect that back to us right away. I've explained in other videos that quantum leaping, it's not linear. It's not like if you decided that you are going to jump to the reality where you have your dream home, you do some quantum leaping work and you go to bed in your apartment and then you wake up in your dream home. It's not like that. You jump to the reality where that version of you made certain decisions, is vibrating at that frequency, and is living on the timeline where that's a possibility. So it's almost like it's happening backward, meaning you still need to go through some physical steps that they went through in order to jump to the reality where they live in their dream home. There's a version of you that lives in your dream home that is communicating with you saying like, hey, this is a possibility for you. And once you start raising your frequency, embodying that identity of them, making the choices that they make, having beliefs that that's even a possibility for you, you get to the place where you merge with that version of you and you experience a life where then you do move into your dream home. But it's not like you close your eyes 1 minute, you open up your eyes and you're in the house. At least that's not what happened to me. But what does happen is you get on the vibrational frequency where that then becomes a possibility for you, and then that becomes normal for you, and so that's how your life ends up being. Because reality reflects back what we believe to be true about ourselves and what we believe to be true about reality. So if you don't believe that you could live in your dream home, if you don't have those thoughts, if you don't have the frequency of someone that can manifest that, it's not going to happen for you. So you do have to do this work to get into alignment with that version of you. However, the second step is deciding that that's possible, deciding that you're going to have it, deciding that you don't have to work any harder, you don't have to beg God anymore, you don't have to do more things that are out of alignment. Just decide that there's a version of you living on that reality and you are going to have it as well. So decision is where the law of assumption comes into place. Law of assumption says that what you assume to be true about yourself and about reality is true for you. So reality has a lag time. You have to believe it before you actually see it. You have to feel it before it shows up. You have to decide it before there's proof. And oftentimes you will decide it, and part of the decision and the law of assumption is holding on to that decision long after it looks like it's not going to work out. Law of assumption is saying, I am source energy. I can have whatever I want. I create my reality. I am deciding to have this in my reality. I'm going to begin acting like this person, embodying their frequency, shifting my beliefs as much as I can. But the more you shift your identity and your behaviors, the more your beliefs go along with that. I'm going to say no to things that are no longer in alignment with what the version of me on this timeline would be saying. If the version of you that you're jumping to would say no to certain things or would say yes to certain things, you have to start doing that first. You have to start letting go of the toxic relationships, the toxic friends, the, I don't know, clutter in your home, the bad job, whatever. And you have to start saying yes to putting yourself out there if you're a creative person. You have to start yes to healthy foods if you're in the reality where you have your dream body. You have to say yes to people that are emotionally available when you're going out on dates. You have to start making the same decisions that that version of you already made, because they made specific decisions, which is why they live in that reality where they have what you desire now. Another thing about quantum leaping has to do with the choices we make. Some quantum physics theories say that when we make a decision, two realities split off and one version of us goes this way and one version of us goes that way. So the cool thing about quantum jumping is you can collapse timelines and maybe make a different decision, decide that you'd rather live in the reality where that version of you made a different decision and jump timelines, but you have to start acting like them first. The thing about decision is you have to decide so fully what you want that when it appears that you're not getting what you want, you have to have faith that you've already decided and you are assuming that that's the reality you live in. Okay, the law of assumption is about living as if it's already yours. Like I said, with the identity, with the choices that you're making, with the behaviors that you're making, with the beliefs you're believing to be true about reality, believing that you are a person that can live on a timeline, that lives in their dream home, that lives with their soulmate, that has their dream body, that is healthy, whatever it is. One of these, the most important pieces in the decision making, is you have to stop playing small. For me, what this looked like was when I had the desires of, first of all, living in a different city, living near the beach, being in a reality where I was with my soulmate. And I told you guys in the last video, I was in a relationship with someone for years and I had thought that was the person. I was living in a city I didn't like. I kept trying to fix the relationship, but the desire, the other parallel timeline, the life that I'm living now kept calling me towards it, saying, hey, there's something better for you. There's a city that you prefer. You could live closer to the beach. You could be with your actual soulmate. So I had to stop playing small. I had to look at my life and decide that if these things in my life were not in vibrational alignment with the life I was calling in, I had to let them go. Why? Because I was deciding to be that version of me before it showed up. And for a couple months, it was a little painful because you have to keep persisting in the decision. Neville, when he talks about the law of assumption, calls it persisting in the assumption that even when reality doesn't appear to be changing, you're deciding that this is who you are and this is the life you're going to live, and you're just going to keep holding that vibration, keep holding that belief pattern until it shows up. So law of assumption, just assume that you are going to have that. You have to go first. The universe doesn't respond to begging. It responds to deciding, and it responds to your vibrational frequency. It responds to who you are being, what energy you're emitting, and what you're deciding to be true about reality, and what you're deciding to be true about your life. So step 1, desire. Step 2, decision. Next week, we're going to talk about step 3, which is awareness and the identity shift. The awareness of what is in the way between you, your current reality, and the reality that you are jumping to. The reality that is calling you forward. The reality that the desire is coming from. In the show notes, I've linked some of my favorite spiritual books if you'd like to check them out. They have helped me a lot on my spiritual path. And remember, this timeline is optional. Much love.